Hello and welcome to the students of St Albans Secondary College and anyone else who may be watching this. Today we're having an alumni catch-up with a 1999 graduate, Colin Pham. Colin, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, great to be here.
Great, thanks. And we're going to be talking a bit about your post-school pathway and your career. So let's begin with asking you what you do. What is your occupation?
I'm currently a medical scientist in the microbiology department at St Vincent's Hospital, Melbourne.
Brilliant. And so before we launch into talking about what you do, let's talk a bit about how you got there. What did you study at school and what kind of student were you?
I was a very bright student. I was able to grasp things very quickly, but I was prone to distractions, so I was easily distracted. So there wasn't an accelerated program back when I was going through, but I wouldn't have qualified in the early days. By the time I got to VCE, I got super focused and I did really well. I studied English, chemistry, physics, specialist maths and maths methods for my VCE subjects, and my best subjects were English and maths.
Yeah. So can you talk to us a bit about your job?
Yes. So as medical scientists, our role is just to provide health information, and we do this by performing laboratory tests. So our main purpose is to provide doctors with our relevant data, and this assists them in diagnosing and treating diseases. So the desired outcomes are reliant on the context in which you're testing. So in normal times, without pandemic over us now, a successful lab would be a lab that would be able to produce an accurate results in a timely manner to help with disease management. Mm-hmm. Now, during COVID testing, the lab plays a vital role. So at the start of the pandemic, the emphasis would be on getting results out fast and accurate results. And so this was in the early days to help track and limit and identify cases to contain outbreaks. Going towards this later stages now, it's about testing. So the government talks about testing. So that's what we do. The swabs get taken and they get sent to a laboratory. And I'm part of the testing team that tests for COVID-19. So at this stage of the pandemic, we're getting data to ascertain the true infectivity rate of our state. And so they use that information to help ease restrictions and form the basis of their policies.
Right. So now and pre-COVID, what does a day look like for you?
It varies because there's a lot of variety in the lab in the different pathogens we test for. So there's different reasons for testing. So if I'm rostered on doing bacterial cultures, I'll be examining agar plates for the detection of bacteria which we grow. If I'm doing serology, I'll be doing blood tests, and there's many reasons for why we do a blood test. If you're doing molecular, which is what I'm doing at the moment, you'll be sorting through swabs and processing them and putting them through the analyzers and getting a result out, and at the end of the day to release out to the requesting doctors.
Why were you drawn to molecular?
Well, it suits my personality. It suits the way I operate. So I'm a very sort of orderly, sort of systematic sort of kind of guy. So and that's how my mind works, and so that's perfect for lab work.
Yeah, right. And so what skills and attributes, what other skills and attributes do you feel you need to do this job? What do you need to be good at?
There are two major ones that I can think of at the top of my head. The first one being the ability to adapt and evolve, because it's such a fast moving, constantly changing field. So there's always new methods, new processes, new technologies, new things you need to learn, and new pandemics. So things that I learned at university 20 years ago, they're outdated. So the other one is written and communication skills. Now, because you'll be doing projects, so you should be able to communicate your findings of your project work clearly. So either in a form of a report, which you'll be required to write, or a presentation at a scientific conference, and sharing your ideas. So you have to be able to sort of formulate and summarize your findings and then sort of communicate that clearly with others. So those are the two main ones. The others I've got noted down, but you have to be organized and be able to prioritize. Because in the pandemic where you have a million things going on, you need to be able to ascertain what needs attention urgently and what can be left, and you need to be able to prioritize. And so that will lead on to my last point, which is to be able to work with others, because you can't actually do it by yourself, and you'll always be required to work in a team. So being able to collaborate will also be a skill that you really need to. It may not come naturally to some. It's just but it's something that you have to learn if it doesn't.
Yeah, and a good skill to work on at school, collaboration. Yeah. So before you were doing this, before St. Vincent's, can you tell us a bit about what you were doing? Was it just uni? What was uni like?
Well, before St. Vincent's, I worked at the Monash Medical Centre in Clayton as a medical scientist also. But just living on this side of town and traveling to the other side of town, I was going to have to move over there, and I didn't want to move. Because my parents are still here and I want to be around them. So lucky I found a spot in the city and I was able to stay in the western suburbs. But after VC, I started a Bachelor of Applied Science. So it's now known as Laboratory Medicine at RMIT.
Right.
It was very demanding. University was very demanding, but it's also very rewarding.
Did you face any challenges at uni?
The balance was hard to trying to find trying to strike a balance between all school and, because at that time, you're in your early 20s, there's people going all over the place, you're making new friends, you're losing old friends, high school people. It was a time where time was short. Time was very short. And sort of managing that time at that time was very hard, actually. So we don't realize while you're in it that it's all pretty much life as normal. It didn't seem it was at the time. One of the issues I had was our course started in the city at RMIT, in the city campus at year 1, and it moved out to Bundoora the remaining year, which I wasn't prepared for. I should have done my research, and so I had to quickly.
So that was always on the card. That was part of the course description.
That was always on the card that we're relocating, and for some reason I must have missed it, but I had to scramble to get a car. I've got my 1990 Camry and start commuting down the ring road, and that was a challenge. There was lots of breakdowns. And
travel is a challenge, and it's a big thing to consider when choosing a university. And so if you had advice for your teenage self about planning your post-school pathway and career, what would it be?
It would be find what you like doing. So there's always lots of pressures and advice to doing something safe or doing something well-paying or doing this or that. But at the heart of it, you have to enjoy doing it. It can't be a chore for you. So once you've identified what you want to pursue, go and look into it and do some research and find people in those fields, pick their brains, look up organizations, look up their websites, ask them what uni degrees they did and what they did to get there. And these are things that I wish someone had told me. That because with emails and website, everyone is accessible pretty much these days.
Yeah.
So you can always ask. You can always ask, and they'll always tell you, this is what I did to get here. And if you don't get the results you want or the university course you want, well, it's not the end of the world either. I wish someone had told me that, because the pressures of year 12 was very, very, it's real. It is real.
Yeah.
And that there are pathways, and I don't think anyone said there are different ways of getting to your destination. I think the perception is it's VCE or bust, and that's not true. That's not true. During my undergraduates, I had people join the degree midway through. So if you didn't have enough to get to the undergrad, do a 2-year diploma, and then enter and have credits.
Yeah.
Do that. We've had people do the med science undergrad as a pathway to medicine. So I've had lots of people I graduated who are now successful doctors. So the VCE is not the only thing that defines you or your future. So if they're not what you're expecting, there are other ways of getting there. And I wish someone had told me that.
Yeah, that this is just a small, the first of many gateways.
Yes, and it's a journey. It's a journey, and also it's okay to change your mind.
Yeah.
Changing subjects, changing courses midway through, they shouldn't be seen as failures. Sometimes you can internalize these things, but it's a journey. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you have any well-being tips for students? There'll be students out there watching this that are currently they're studying VCE and perhaps are having a lot of these thoughts that you've expressed here today. Any well-being tips for them?
My main go-to is having a physical activity as an outlet. So just to something to get up, to get the blood flow moving, just get out and get some fresh air. You just have to get away from the screen. So during my time at St. Albans, music was my outlet. So me and my friends played Metallica covers, but music was sort of what was my go-to way back then.
Yeah.
But find something you like. You need to find something else.
Yeah, and some of those things stay with you for life. So is there any other general advice that you have before we sign off?
Well, my main one is to stay focused. So it's easy to get distracted these days, and I was a very distracted student. So to stay focused would be a general advice. But in saying that, you still need to keep a healthy balance. So you still pursue your hobbies, because you can't let school be your whole life. So that's the general advice. But I just want to add one last thing, which is be proud of St. Albans Secondary College. I'm a product of St. Albans Secondary College, and I live in the area still, and I choose to live in the area. And I'm happy. I'll happily tell everyone that I'm a product of St. Albans. So be proud of your school.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Lovely. Great advice. So, well, look, thank you so much for your time today. And it has been some time where we had a few issues, technical issues, but we got there, and this has just been so good. Thank you so much. So I will, on behalf of the school, we say thanks, and hopefully we'll get to see you in our classroom sometime soon, talking with a science class or maths or something. That would be lovely to have you on campus. So thank you so much.
Been a pleasure.